Week we went to Dover where we saw a Mitch Motorsport 1-2, led home by Hamish Gallagher. Will we see that again tonight? Or who will challenge the Mitch Motorsport boys who are in a rich vein of form? Let's see, let's get the intros underway and let's get to Circuit of the Americas for this race.
Give you a shout if it's issues.
Good evening everyone, welcome to FGM eCars presenting the ANZCAR Thunder Series. We're back with the Xfinity cars live from Circuit of the Americas for a 23 lap sprint race tonight. Sprint race in inverted commas. It's going to be a challenge here. We've just been watching some of the practice and there's been a few drivers struggling around here. As usual, I'm joined by Carl Withy. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Stuart, and good evening, everybody out there watching us on FGM eCast. It is a pleasure to be back, and here at COTA, here at Texas, a very tricky track indeed. A lot of drivers are going to be struggling out there tonight. These cars are not known for their street racing prowess.
No, definitely not built for this type of thing, but of course it's what happens in real life in terms of NASCAR doing a couple of the circuit runs, of course, and so here we are finding ourselves with a little bit of a practice race. We're here again tonight and tomorrow night with the Cup race, similar to last week. So we're going to be doing another double. So it's COTA tonight, COTA tomorrow night, and a lot of the drivers will be using this as practice, certainly for the Cup cars tomorrow. But that's going to be a completely different obstacle to what stands in front of the drivers tonight.
That's it. You get some practice on the track layout, but it's a completely different car. It's like jumping from a skip barber car into a Formula One car. It's a very different sort of feel. Well, maybe not as extreme with NASCARs, but it is a very different car indeed. And of course, you've got a very different car to drive. These Xfinity cars are a lot looser. They're a bit lighter than the Cup cars, which does help a little bit around a racetrack. A little bit lighter. They have a little bit less power as well, so you tend to get a little bit less rear wheel spin, but they are still an absolute terror to drive. They have absolutely, well, pretty much no downforce whatsoever. That little tiny spoiler at the back is the only thing that really gives any form of downforce on these cars, so it's all down to those big chunky tyres giving you grip.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's pretty close at the front at the moment. Brendan Hobson's just stretched his legs a little bit. He's done a 2:15.56, about half a second up the street from Jake Maloney. Jason Hardigan, welcome him back into the series. It's the first time we've seen him for a while, and no surprises, he's chosen to make his return at a street circuit. Very, very strong into these cars at the street circuit. Michael Skurlock's right behind him, and then the man on screen, Edward Foster, currently sitting in fifth with a 2 minutes 17. So it's relatively tightly packed once you get thereafter with a second or so covering basically the next 6 or 7 places. So should see nice close competitive racing tonight, which will be good, and certainly something different, which is what the Thunder Series is all about, bringing these Xfinity cars back out on track and getting the guys to jump in and see what they can do. Second round in though, a little bit rude to do a circuit.
Yeah, it's a real wild card to have thrown in there. Really, it does throw the feline amongst the avians, and it's a very tricky one to get used to. I mean, we've gone from a very, very tricky short track at Dover to a incredibly hard racing circuit of the Americas. It's a track that is hard enough to drive in a GT car or a wings open wheel and wings car as well, let alone a NASCAR. So it's going to be a real test of these guys' skills, but it's also going to show us who has the speed on the street and road circuits. As you said, Jason Hartigan back defending Thunder champion, so he's going to want to try and get his name and get some proof out there and get his name back on the scoreboard. We've got returning people as well from last week who, unfortunately, due to some numbering issues, they didn't get to finish, but looks like everything is okay this week. We've got Brenton Hobson out there doing some very good times at the moment. Of course, Skurlock up there as well, which is what we usually expect. Brenton West as well, setting some good times out there as well. So a lot of those new faces have returned, which is what we wanted to see, and they are definitely mixing things up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just on board now with Jake Maloney, who's just gone top of the tree. He's only done 3 laps, so look out for him tonight. I rating of nearly 6 or just over 6,500. So very, very capable driver. Dare I say that that's driven by circuit racing I rating tonight, isn't it? Because we are at a circuit.
That's it, yeah. So you'll see a few different, a few drivers that we normally see with much higher I rating and license class as well, with a much lower license class than normal. Usually we've got a C of A and B licenses in the field, and there's quite a few C's out there tonight, just because people, and you don't tend to race as many circuits in the oval series, so quite a few sort of people that tend to run a few more ovals and circuits for sure out there. But saying that, there are a lot of people that tend to run more in leagues on circuits as well, so that's one of the things you've got to look out for. One person to watch out for, though, is going to be Andrew Dyson. He is very, very quick, and we've seen it from Andrew Dyson before. We saw it in the trucks earlier in the year in season 1 with him taking the victory there, so he has got some pedigree on this track, so he is definitely one to watch out for. But there are so many quick drivers out there. It's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to this, Stuart.
Yeah, and in fact, Andrew Dyson coming off a win last night in the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, where he did take out a win at Long Beach in a very hardy race, is probably the way to put it, is the polite way to put it. So Andrew is in a really good run of form as well in just about anything he jumps into. I guess when it's that consistent, it's not called a run of form, it's just called skill. But yeah, we've seen that from him. So we'll stick on board with him tonight in the simrigs.com entry, the 041, and we'll let him get through this first lap, and then we'll get him to take us on a tour of this track. COTA, a track that doesn't necessarily get the coverage that a lot of the more famous tracks globally do. So some of the viewers out there probably not too familiar with it. Of course, COTA standing for Circuit of the Americas, and the track probably not that new now, but still a relatively new racetrack by global standards, I would say.
Yeah, very much so. Built, it was
sort of the mid noughties, late noughties.
That's it. Yeah, late noughties. Yeah, I'm trying to think back now. It's been a while though. It's been around for a while. Interesting fact: it was actually built on top of a garbage tip. So that's why some of the undulation is actually there. And there was fears that the track would actually sink in the early days because of it for reclaimed land, but it's held up very well. But it does get very bumpy out there. That's one of the big things about COTA, is it tends to be a bit bumpy. Just watching Andrew Dyson here as well, he's coming around, he's not putting too much stress into the tyres at the moment. He's just going relatively gingerly around the course and not really lighting the car up too much on this outlap. Want to try and get some temperature in the tyres, of course, but you want to try and keep it so it's not too hot, so you don't want to overheat the rear tyres. But it is a track that is incredibly technical, and it has some serious speed to it. It's a very fun track indeed.
Yeah, track temp here around about 33 degrees, so certainly not as hot as some of the places that we visit, but it is still relatively warm, remembering that these cars have pretty skinny tyres by the measure of a modern motorsport, and so obviously not too well set up for this type of thing, which is what is part of the challenge as we now get on with the first flying lap for Andrew Dyson. Carl, take us away.
So a big uphill section here into this very tight turn one, dropping down to first gear here. You can actually use some of the hill to drop off some speed. Very tight corner. You want to get the exit just right as you come down to turn number 2. Sweeping right-hander, drop off the accelerator, just get the car turned in nicely there, back on the power into turn 3, and we get into the wiggly section here. This makes up most of the turns, left, right, and left and right again. You got to get this perfect, and it's so easy to get an off-track ping here. This can ruin your lap very quickly. Very easy to lose the car here as well as we come up to turn number 6, and gonna get up through here into turn number 7. Sorry, I think turn number 9 that was, sorry. Turn number 9 into turn 10 here. Sorry, I always triggered getting the turns right. Down to turn 11, downhill, very wide corner, good opportunity for overtaking. Got to get the car turned in just right here. Little bit of opposite lock there for Andrew. Just getting that car slowed down was tricky because it is downhill. These cars don't exactly have the biggest brakes. They're not ceramic brakes. They are literally just big plates of steel. Very long straight here between turns 11 and 12. This is where you're going to get a bit of drafting. Down to turn 12. Tight left-hander. You want to get the apex just right, kissing the curb, get the car on the exit perfectly, get the car through into turn 13, sort of double apex here into turn 14, so you're just going to make the corner work as well as possible as you get through into turn 15. Again, a sort of another double apex corner to the left now, and this is going to get you through to a very fast sweeping turn at 16, 17 and 18. This corner is a very tricky one because the tyres are going to start losing it at the back. Very easy to overheat those rear tyres and have the car step out on you. You're going to come down to turn 19 now, a tight left-hander, dropping it down to around about second gear here. Catch that inside curb, watch out for the sausage, take a nice bit of runoff up to the final corner, turn 20. Sharp left-hander, drop it in, get it perfectly set up for the straight, and that is a lap of Circuit of the Americas here at Texas.
Well done, Carl. A very full lap indeed. As you can see there, Andrew Dyson jumping straight to the top of the charts with a 2-minute 14.34, 3 seconds ahead of Hamish Gallagher and Jaden Russell. So there is some work to do there for the guys to catch him, but still some of the fast runners just getting through, finalising their first lap. Kate Donnelly's just jumped up in the timing charts. Got to be careful as well here about off tracks and cancellation of those laps so far. Just looking through, Philip Howe unfortunately, has got that through. The timing was just a little bit delayed there. Josh Micklemore, Tristan Cox still got to post times, and there's a number of fast drivers still to come as well. Edward Foster looks like his first lap didn't count. He is just on his way around to lap 2 there, just running a little wide again. Unfortunately, might have given him the curse of the commentators. Michael Skurlock hasn't finished his first lap in terms of quick people from our practice session, so there's still plenty to come here. We've got around about what have we got here? 5 minutes remaining in about 3 minutes remaining, my apologies, in this qualifying session. So they're going to have to get a real one to get these laps through to make sure that they actually register a time before this one gets underway in a few minutes time. So Jason Hardigan, he's out on his first flying lap as Michael Skurlock goes up into second place. He's still a second and a half off Andrew Dyson. That first lap out from Dyson is very, very crisp indeed. And maybe Carl, you riding on his shoulder, mate, got him that little bit of extra pace he needed with the talking through of the corners. But he's well and truly out in front at the moment.
Yeah, it was a really good lap. One of the things I noticed, though, is that outlap. He was treating it almost like a Formula 1 outlap as Brenton Hobson gets a little bit closer. Still 8 tenths behind, though, but does get closer. He treated that outlap very, very gingerly, very soft on the tyres, making sure he doesn't get too much heat through them. So I wonder if that helped him out a little bit. It's something I did notice. So a few people might take note of that, but you don't have much time to make it work. Gary Wellman making a bit of a mess on his lap. He just lost it going through turn 16 and 17, the back end just stepping out on him, unfortunately. So that's going to cost him his qualifying lap. But it's so easy to make a mistake here. It's so easy to get those rear tyres a bit too hot. So I think Andrew Dyson played it perfectly, but just keeping that car a little bit softer on that outlap and just keeping those tyres a little bit cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw a little bit there when you're going through that. Michael Skurlock just hammering those sausages on the inside of the left, right, left, and the car getting airborne up on 2 wheels. So they're not going to want to do that too often tonight. Of course, susceptible to damage as well. So it looks like Jason Hardigan's first lap round didn't count either. So he's going to have to try and make his way around again. He's only got a very short window to get this done.
Got about 2 minutes left on this one, so he's got enough time for just the one lap, I think. But yeah, I think he just went a little bit wide and got himself an instant point on that one. So if you're new to iRacing, of course, the way it works is if you run too wide or cut a little bit of the corner, effectively you get what's called an incident, and it will invalidate your qualifying lap. So you have to have a perfect qualifying lap. No running wide. You have to make sure you make it through every corner and keep the car between those white lines. Otherwise, you will get that incident and your qualifying lap won't count. It's a very strict situation. Unlike full metal racing, where it's done more by the stewards and the eyeballs, although we are seeing a bit harsher penalties coming. With iRacing, of course, we've got a beautiful system that just completely... Well, it's there to monitor the cars, and any time you go outside of those lines, it picks you up instantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely black and white, which is fantastic. It applies to every driver. It's nice and consistent, and yeah, it's one of the things that is great about iRacing. It just penalises you lap in, lap out if you keep breaking the rules and running too wide. So. Looks like this lap from Jason Hardigan's a little tighter. I think you're right. He's probably going to suffer a little bit, though, with the extra heat in the tyres. Andrew Dyson, in his second lap, did struggle as well, but already having put in that cracking lap, it made no difference whatsoever. So he's still out on pole at the moment. Brenton Hobson still in provisional second place with Michael Skurlock and Brenton West, the third and fourth or second row of the grid as it stands. Jason Hardigan here looking to do something about it as he gets across the line, and that lap counts. He pops himself up into fourth position, so a good lap there under pressure for Jason Hardigan to pop the AJ Insurance Services 51 up into position 4.
Yeah, he's ensured himself a good position at the start of this race, which is what he needed. Unfortunately, at that first lap, I think just made that mistake, and that really did cost him a lot of time. But just the speed of Jason Hardigan, he's one of those drivers that is very quick. And even that second lap, he managed to get it up there in a good position.
It looks like there that Matty Raymond, Mr. Sheen, just missed out, unfortunately, getting his lap on the board. So he will unfortunately be starting from the back row of the grid. But let's jump through this qualifying result here as we get ready for the set off behind the pace car at COTA. It is Andrew Dyson with a commanding lap there, a 2:14.34, nearly a second ahead of Brenton Hobson in second. Michael Skurlock in third with Jason Hardigan in fourth. Then off the third row is Brenton West with Jaden Russell. Hamish Gallagher and Cade Donnelly off row 4 with Edward Foster and Dave Douglas off row 5. Steve Williams and Aidan Schultz off row 6 as we flip over the page to Norman Clark and Joshua Carroll Walden off row 7. There's Josh Mickelmore and Troy Davison off row 8. Christopher Finlay and Scott Griffith off row 9 with Ruben Phelps and Tristan Koch off row 10. Followed by Hamish Cleland and Mirko Doutnak off row 11 with Matty Hunter and Aaron Dillon following them on naturally row 12. And then we've got Philip Howe, Jake Maloney, Michael Schroeder, Matty Raymond and Gary Wellman rounding out the 29 starters for round 2 of the ANZCAR Thunder Series here at COTA.
Going to be an exciting race. We've got some very fast, very good road races up there. These boys can turn left as well as right. They have got a lot of experience out there, so expect some good racing up at the front. As I said, we've seen Andrew Dyson have some great form, and he has been at the top of his game as well this season, really putting in some commanding performances. So he's one definitely to watch out for. Keep an eye for Jason Hartigan as well. Imagine he's going to make a bit of a move there. Don't discount Edward Foster down there in 9th place. He is the first to tell you he's not the quickest out on these kind of tracks, but he's put in some good performances through the year. Jake Maloney as well, starting way down in 26th position. Keep an eye on him as well. He's going to be quite quick out there. One to keep an eye on as well as the race progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Maloney, I think, was second or certainly inside the top 5 for the practice session that led into our stream. So he will probably make his way through. Interesting to see someone in the background of the grid there just bagging it up with the rear tyres. Not necessarily the best idea when we're just talking about trying to make your tyres last and grip here, and the strategy that played out so well for Dyson at the during qualifying. So I don't know who that is, but look for them to potentially pit early, or maybe struggle a little bit on this first lap. Expecting, what did we say, Carl? Probably anywhere between lap 10 to lap 14 or 15 as the pit window to get through to the end of the race, and potentially just a one-stopper.
Yeah, it should be just the one stop for these guys tonight. Just a quick dash in for some, fresh tyres are going to be a must for a lot of these guys. They're going to want to get a new set of boots on these cars just to get them through to the end. Tyre wear is going to be the main issue out there. Fuel is always... It feels important, as we know, but tyre wear is definitely going to be the biggest issue for these guys.
Probably a little bit understated there about the importance of fuel. You generally find that if you run out, you don't make it to the end of the race. But I know the point you're making. It's certainly not going to be the critical factor in this race tonight. Shouldn't be any problems with anyone running out of fuel. Tyre survival and management is the key, as you were saying.
That's it, as we're about to go green here for round 2 of the Thunder Series here on FGM eCast. Andrew Dyson is going to lead us away for the round 2 here at Circuit of the Americas. He gets a good drop of the hammer, gets away nicely from Brenton Hobson there. Good start by all. Nice position, Edward Foster trying to make up some moves a little bit further down, and as well as JCW as well. Good move from them. Nice late braking from Brenton Hobson at the back. Most of the cars getting through. How is it going to go in the first turn? Looks like everybody's managed to make it through relatively clean. Tricky thing to do in that first corner. Very easy to mess it up there.
Yeah, as we come through the slalom, we've got the right, left, right here. Again, everyone pretty much single file. You're brave there, as I think that might have been Matty Raymond off in the background, but you're pretty brave to try and go side by side through there, particularly in these, even in anything other than probably a Formula 1 car. Aaron Dillon looks like he's gone off track in the background there as well. So a few drivers.
Dortnack just catching Aaron Dillon there, just got caught in the back a little bit, and that spun him around. So he's gone for a quick spin early on in this race, but easy to do in that slalom section. Of course, no brake lights on these cars, so you have to judge that braking absolutely perfectly.
And Troy Davison there, unfortunately, with a redecorated 023 Ford, so he's going to have to run through pit lane with that one and probably get that repaired, I think.
Yeah, big moment for Troy. He's just lost it on the exit of turn number 9, spun it around.
Change here for the lead. No, Dyson there. Sorry to cut across you. Hobson's just gone way too deep under brakes. Andrew Dyson was onto it, gave him plenty of room. He went into the runoff, no damage caused, but that has widened the gap at the front with Andrew Dyson now 1.8 seconds up the road, and Michael Skurlock, Brenton Hobson now battling away for third. That has also brought Jason Hardigan into that battle for the top 3 positions.
Yeah, real I think overestimating maybe the braking of the Camaro there, Brenton Hobson. Just expecting a little bit more braking ability for this car than it actually has this early in the race. Of course, brakes are still a little bit cold at that stage, and he just went way too wide. So very, very easy mistake to make, but he managed to get the car back on track and get it back in, keep second position, which is impressive. Skurlock just behind him, as we've got a car off in the background there.
It's Philip Howe, unfortunately. So he's back on track now, though. Looks like
he is
just a single. Oh, yeah, he's overcooked the rear tyres on that one, I believe. Oh, he's jumped out. That's no good.
Yeah, those rear tyres have been cooked, and I think that might be him just going, I've had enough of this tonight. I've got a good move for position up with Brenton West. He just made a great move on Kay Donnelly up at the first corner, just getting up past him, using that little bit of hill to brake a little bit later and make that position in that beautiful Tom's Supra. Absolutely love that livery. That takes me back so much to the old Gran Turismo days. Nostalgia is just dripping through my brain right there. Andrew Dyson's got a good lead at the moment, but Brenton Hobson is trying to catch him down. He's really pushing that car, getting a lot of the back end stepping out, as we've got another move for position there between the 40 and 53.
Yeah, so that's Donnelly and Foster. Donnelly's tried the switchback here on Foster. He's going to get the move done under brakes. That's good driving from the pair. No surprises there, both very experienced. So Ed got him on the run, and then Cade did the switchback and managed to take that position back. It's close behind them too, between Hamish Gallagher and Dave Douglas as well. Gallagher getting hassled a little bit by Douglas here as they run down into the next corner. The left-hander is going to have to just surrender a little bit there because it's quite a slow one for these cars. And he just holds position there behind Taylor Swift in the 13. And again, it's just another change of position between Donnelly and Foster. There's fantastic racing between these two. No paint traded at all at the moment, and they just keep changing. Oh, there's a little bump there on Foster, but no damage done. I'll keep going. Donnelly there just a little bit too close, but he's managed to keep it straight, Foster, and keeps going with that one as there's a move in the background as well. There's a lot going on in the race. There's great racing from these guys. Jake Maloney, Josh Micklemore here battling away. This is for position 14 and 15. Jake Maloney, the one we said to watch, he's currently up 12 positions from the start of the race.
Yeah, really good move. Aiden Schultz as well as having a good battle with Jake. That was Aiden Schultz and Jake Maloney, I think. Sorry, Norman Clark. Sorry. Wait, no.
No, you're right. No, that was my. I miscalled that. Apologies, Aiden. Yeah. I miscalled that. It was Aiden Schultz and Jake Maloney having the battle there.
Yeah, great little battle going on there. I was just about to say with Foster, he might struggle a little bit with that damage just because it's right on the rear. So obviously not a huge amount of aero on the car, but the little bit that is there, that's going to make it a little bit harder for him and just cause a bit of issue. Josh Micklemore getting into a little bit of trouble, I think. Something's happened with him. So Mirko Dornak as well going around, I think that is.
Yeah, it is there. It's just down on the infield. He's just rotated it at the hairpin.
A really easy thing to do, and you're going to see that quite a bit tonight, and it is such a... It's one of those things that when it happens, you feel like such a numpty because you sort of go, oh, that's so stupid. How did I do that? That was so dumb. But it is so easy to do in these cars. They have a lot of power. There's big tank slapper for Dave Douglas in 10th position. This is going to allow Joshua Carroll-Walton to get up the side of him. He's going to try the switchback, try and get underneath him through turn 11 onto this long straight now and get the move done. Is he going to be able to get the traction off as he needs it? Dave's got a car in front of him. He's going to get a little bit of a draft. Going to see JCW trying for that little bit of side draft there. They're going to be neck and neck, but JCW's got the inside for turn 12. It's going to be who's going to break latest, and it's Dave Douglas. Last of the late breakers there for Dave Douglas. They're getting a good job, but he does run wide. And that's going to give Joshua Carroll-Walton the 35 the position.
Just jump on board here with JCW as he closed that one out. And just through this slower part of the circuit, Dave Douglas right on the bumper there, as you can see. Mustang just all over the back of him. And just got to be patient here. There's still 21 laps to go. It's been a frantic start to this race, probably even more so than I expected. But high standard of driving from these guys in unfamiliar circumstances, doing a really good job to keep us entertained. And so that has got Joshua Carroll-Walton up to 10th.
Just behind him is Jake Maloney. He's on a charge, 14 positions gained so far in 4 laps. That is one heck of a run from Jake Maloney. He is absolutely flying there. But of course, the issue he might have is he's going to start burning through those tyres quite quickly. So he could have an issue as he makes a move on Dave Douglas up for the hairpin. He's going to break it late, get up inside. You can see there JCW just locking the brake a little bit. Very easy to do, of course, because it is the car is very unbalanced there, and one wheel likes to lift itself a little bit like a dog trying to pee. You get one wheel up in the air, and then all of a sudden it breaks when it loses the surface of the track. And not too much issue there. It's not going to cause much problem, but you never want to be locking brakes. It's never a fun feeling in the car.
No, and of course three-wheeling looks cool, but it's not conducive to quick lap times. So the guys will be aware of that. Just managing that a little bit, just with some brake pedal modulation. And I'm just jumped on board here with the Phelps, Koch and Wellman battle. Michael Schroeder's had an incident a little bit further back in the pack with Christopher Finlay, unfortunately. But they should be able to continue, we believe. So this battle here, less than a second covering these 3 drivers. But let's jump back on board with Jake Maloney. He's about to get the job done on Joshua Carroll-Walden. Norm Clark's had a spin down at the hairpin by himself as well. And JCW has to surrender that position as Jake Maloney continues this charge. Hamish Gallagher next in the crosshairs for him. Gallagher having his own battle with Cade Donnelly. Ed Foster, even with that damage, has just checked out a little bit on the battle behind him. So the benefactor of them battling with one another. And another one too to keep an eye on is Hardigan, who has closed right up on the back of Michael Skurlock.
Yeah, there are battles all through the field at the moment, and it is fast and furious action, which is what we love to see. But there's some really good fights going on at the moment throughout the field. It's just having a bit of a look to see through, and Gary Wellman and Tristan Koch have just had a little bit of contact as Wellman just got brakes locked up a little bit. Nothing too major between those two, but these things easily happen. A lot of people struggling with rear brake bias, I think. The back end is just over rotating on them, and you get that pendulum effect happening. The back end decides it wants to be the front end. The car thinks it wants to be a rear-engined car, and all of a sudden you get the back end overtaking you, and it's not a fun feeling to have.
No, not at all. It's certainly not the way to get around the track, but we did see a video from somebody today that suggested that you can go as quickly backwards in one of the new NASCARs as you can forwards with the draft. So potentially, maybe it might work here. I probably wouldn't want to be the test dummy, but potentially could be a way to get around here quicker. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it's sort of effectively turning it into a Porsche that has forklift steering. So it's a little bit more interesting, but yeah, it changes things around a bit. Cade Donnelly at the moment is having a good battle with Jake Maloney. He's got Maloney all over the back of him. Hamish Gallagher is sniffing around for that last position as well. He's really up there in the 13, and Tato's getting a good view of the action at the moment, so good view from the front of that car. But yeah, Cade Donnelly has got Maloney all over the back of him at the moment, but how much damage is Maloney doing to those tyres? Is he going to start dropping off in a couple of laps? And I've got to say, from what I expect to see Maloney start to hemorrhage time probably in about 6 laps. We'll start to see him losing a little bit of time as Dave Douglas is still battling away with Joshua Carroll-Walden. Those two are still fighting it out as well, side by side. Great action between them. Stephen Williams just running a bit wide behind them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to keep an eye on both the gaps between all these battles that we're trying to focus on, as we've got 19 to go still here at COTA. Andrew Dyson well out in front at the moment, 3 seconds to the good from Brenton Hobson and Michael Skurlock. Michael Skurlock battling with Jason Hardigan. That's cooled off a little bit there. He's got about a second gap over Hardigan now. And Ed Foster still out with his own gap ahead of Cade Donnelly, Jake Maloney fighting. And the battle that we're on now with Joshua Carroll-Walden and Dave Douglas. Also Tristan Koch and Matty Raymond having a little bit of a battle further back in the pack. We might just jump down to that one and see what those two fellas are fighting over. And at the moment it is 20th position. But I said battles everywhere. It's just a little lock up there from Tristan Koch, and Matty Raymond said, don't worry, I'll do the same thing just to keep things nice and fair, and then jumps on the gas a little early and just lights up the rear tyres on the 83, and that's given Tristan a little bit of breathing room.
Giving him a couple of moments just to take a breath and get a little...
Wow. As we have there, we're sorry to interrupt, Carl, we have there, unfortunately, the 29, Jake Maloney, has gone off track and taken Cade Donnelly with him, I believe. The front of that car is not there, so he's going to have to jump into pit lane. He's going to have to get tyres, and a little early as well, so he will not make it to the end with this stop. So that is unfortunate given the run he was having through the field.
Yeah, really unfortunate what happened there. If I don't know if we can grab the replay, but Cade Donnelly's hit the sausage curb, spun it around, and Maloney's got nowhere to go. He gets speared into and then pushed straight into the barrier. Really disappointing for Maloney after a fantastic run, up 18 positions at one stage there. That has completely written off the whole front end of that car, and that's going to be a bit of a struggle now for Maloney, unfortunately. Real big shame there, and I imagine Cade Donnelly will be absolutely spewing over that as well. You never want to cause damage to a competitor, and especially in a situation like that.
You know what though, with the pace he was showing, albeit obviously it's not ideal to be missing the bumper and the bonnet aerodynamically, it's not going to affect the car that much. That he probably can't make it. You see him there struggling a little bit to get it to turn in, but he's got to really just survive 2 or 3 laps. He's still in 11th position. It's far better than where he started. He might just continue to push on with this here and just drop a few places, knowing that once he gets back in a pit lane, get some tyres, get some fuel and a little bit of the damage repaired, that he's probably going to be able to keep up and maintain a reasonably good race outcome.
Yeah, the big question is going to be how much damage was done to the cooling in that car, because that's going to be the thing that makes or breaks his race right now. We've got a good battle as well a little bit further ahead, as you see JCW and Dave Douglas fighting. Brenton West and Jaden Russell having a good battle as well, side by side as they come down to the slalom section, the S's, as Brenton West just makes the corner ahead and manages to get that one sorted out. Good move as Jaden Russell catches one of those sausage curves and almost does a identical move to Cade Donnelly there. So easily done. It's a very easy mistake to make, but there is some really close battles on the track at the moment as we jump to Foster there, getting past the 28 of Jaden Russell. So Foster's taken advantage of that big slap to the sausage curve and made that position, as Dave Douglas has made a mistake a little bit further back. He just got a little bit late on the brakes and he's just lost a little bit of position to a drifting Jake Maloney, who was absolutely flogging that car through the corners. Maloney is absolutely going for it despite missing most of that car.
Yeah, absolutely. Good driving there from both of those battles. No paint traded either, just nice close racing, which is definitely what we're here for. Mickelmore, I think he might just be having Norman Clark close up on the back of him. Obviously a little bit of damage to the right-hand front corner of that car after that unfortunate incident a little earlier on. But it is still Andrew Dyson just taking a tour of circuit of the Americas out in front. He's got a reasonably comfortable gap of just on 3 seconds from Brenton Hobson in second place. And he equally has a comfortable gap back to Michael Skurlock of just on 5 seconds in third place. Michael just got Jason Hardikin right behind him, but not too much pressure at the moment.
Yeah, it's strange when the leaders are this close together on track and you're not really talking about them because there's not much going on there. Those guys are pretty much having a stalemate at the moment. The big battle is at the back as Jake Maloney is absolutely flogging that car around. He's using up every bit of rear tyre as he can, absolutely drifting the remainder of that car through the corner. And I think he's coming into pit lane now. So he was using up every last millimetre of tyre he could there to get that car in. And I think he's going to he's either going to jump out of that car or get some repairs done, get some tyres and try and get to the end of this race.
Hopefully the latter. He's driven well so far. So we'll just see what he does here. Just waiting for the car to go up. Now he's just going to take some tyres, get back on it and get back out there. So that's good to see. We'll keep an eye on his progress for the balance of the race. First of our races to jump into pit lane.
Yeah, and just looking through the field, we've got a couple of good movers through there, but one of the biggest movers at the moment is Gary Wellman down in 17th. He's managed to make 12 positions. He started in 29th. He's up to 18th position. So he's doing a really good job of getting up the field. Ruben Phelps sitting in 19th with Maddie Raymond. Of course, Maddie Raymond gaining a lot of positions, as is the norm. But Ruben Phelps was struggling out there for grip and really struggling to get a handle on this car tonight. A couple of rough races for Ruben. We know we've got a lot of Ruben Phelps fans out there, but he had a bit of a rough one in the trucks at the dirt. Couldn't quite get the tail end kicking out of that car and struggling a bit tonight, but doing a good job just to keep the car's pace working for it. And unfortunately, I think Jake Maloney has jumped out of the session, so we've lost that car.
He has indeed. That is very, very unfortunate. A good run from him early on, coming to a premature end.
it's sometimes the case, Jake Maloney. We see a lot of speed from Jake, and he is one of those drivers that gives us an absolute brilliant show, but sometimes gets unfortunate. And that was one of those situations where it was absolutely not his fault. He was in no way you could say that that was any cause of his own with that accident, because unfortunately Kay Donnelly spinning there and just harpooning him into the barrier, but it's robbed us of a very quick car out there and some fun overtakes. But what a good little showing from him with those overtakes earlier on in this race. But we have more racing to go, and we have a lot of on-track action still left, a lot of drivers that are still very close to each other at the moment. Michael Skurlock is having to defend third place from Jason Hartigan, returning Thunder champion Jason Hartigan there in the 51 and AJ Insurance Services car. Of course, with Natari Autosport, he's just keeping right on the back of Skurlock at the moment. And sometimes you don't want to be following another car because it can cause you a few issues. But one of the beautiful things about these cars, because they do rely more on mechanical grip rather than aerodynamical grip and things like that, you can follow a car a little bit closer. It doesn't tend to chew the tyres as much. You can get a little bit more hot air, but you can sort of follow a little bit longer and have a little bit of fun. And it looks like at the moment Jason Hartigan is definitely doing that and just keeping Skurlock honest.
Yeah, absolutely. He is. Hamish Connolly, I was just having a quick look back at that incident. He had a little solo spin there, but he's back on with things again now. So Jason Hartigan just not quite able to close the gap up here any more than this. So maybe trying to plan something in a pit stop if he can to maybe get a little bit of advantage. The gap's less than a second there. Brenton West also just in that supercar out in a little bit of no man's land as well. So we'll jump back to Cade Donnelly and JCW. This is the closest battle on track at the moment, with almost a tissue paper between them at the this stage as they head down into the slow left-hand section of the track. And you got there JCW just running a little wide, so that's opened the door for Cade Donnelly, and that's getting the switch back there. So JCW is struggling a little bit at the moment for some stopping power in that 35 car, maybe just with the tyres there, as Donnelly gets a little loose again, trying to get that pulled up. They go door to door, and a little bit of a bump there, but go door to door racing and get back on with it again. JCW just managing to stay in front.
A nice bit of rub in there. That's what you want to do in stock car racing. Just door-to-door action. No chance of spinning the other driver out. That is just proper full body contact there. Good driving from both of them to keep it going. It's been an ebbing, flowing battle as you see Cade Donnelly now making a late move, trying to get through there. Is he going to make it through? He does, and he gets ahead of JCW. Finally gets in front of JCW there. There's been a battle between these guys for a while. Dave Douglas finally has broken out from it, but he was battling with Cade Donnelly and Joshua Carroll-Walden for quite a long time. It's been a pretty interesting little battle between all three of those cars tonight, and we've seen quite a few changes for positions between all three of those guys. So I wish I actually had a counter for on-track passes, because I'd love to know how many we actually had in that respect. But it's definitely quite a few. Joshua Carroll-Walden catches that sausage curb, and a big fly up in the air for him. That's going to hurt your wrist on the steering wheel. Of course, you get the force feedback jolt through there, and that's going to cost him some time to Aiden Schultz, who's running just behind him. Aiden Schultz just sitting behind with Stephen Williams just behind him as well. So Stephen Williams doing another good solid drive, as we are so used to seeing him. Josh Micklemore a little bit further down the field there in 14th position. Just sort of not quite comfortable tonight by the looks of things. He's managed to get the car working quite well, but just not quite got the pace of some of the cars around him that we usually see from Mr. Josh Micklemore.
Also having a look here at Ruben Phelps and Matthew Raymond, as Raymond there just goes a little longer under brakes. Phelps just trying to protect that inside line. So he pulled up a little quicker in that 06 Hot Wheels machine. And Matty Raymond, likewise, nice clean car once again, just patiently making his way through the field. He's up 10 positions so far into 18th. And he is applying the pressure to the back of Ruben Phelps' car. They've got Gary Wellman just in front of him, and that is 13. Michael Skurlock
in the pits.
So lap 13.
Skurlock is the first to blink. I was going to talk about this because as we're getting closer to it, but look for people to start doing the undercut now. This is the time for it to happen. I think Foster coming in, Edward Foster coming in as well. So this is where the undercut can happen. So Skurlock is banking on getting those fresh tyres on and getting a little bit of an advantage with this one. Of course, you don't have tyre blankets, you don't have tyre warmers, you're going out on cold tyres, so it can be a bit perilous. You can struggle when you first go out there on fresh tyres, so you do have to be careful not to light it up and lose the rear. But Skurlock coming out into a relatively clean bit of track right now. He's just in front of Josh Micklemore, so this is going to be good for him. He might be able to gain a little bit of time over Brendan Hobson, although Hobson did have a very good lead over Skurlock before those pit stops. So it's going to be a interesting little battle. The big thing is if Hobson comes in this lap and Dyson stays out, we could see Hobson getting a little bit closer to Dyson and could be a good battle for the lead of this race.
Absolutely. So we'll see the change of pace here with the fresh tyres. Just keeping an eye on Skurlock there as he just ducks down the inside of Aidan Schultz. Not too many dramas there. And is now in pursuit of Kate Donnelly. So Skurlock, the first of our drivers to jump through pit lane. Edward Foster also having done that. So keep an eye on their lap times. Leader Andrew Dyson last time around did a 2:17.87. And the fastest man on track by some margin. So these new tyres hopefully will help out Skurley, and he might be able to make a little bit of a race of this and get some undercut happening. So we're just waiting on Dyson, Hobson and Hardigan to jump into pit lane 2.
Yeah, at the moment, Andrew Dyson's setting some good times. Last time round, it was a 2:17 for Andrew Dyson. So it's going to be interesting to see what Skurlock can do on these fresh tyres. We'll see the difference in pace as Brendan Hobson does pit. So what did I say? If Andrew Dyson stays out and Hobson pits, we could see an interesting battle for the lead. We may well be seeing this right here as Andrew Dyson has stayed out. 2:18 that last time round. So it's going to be an interesting battle. Jason Hardigan is staying out as well, I believe. So he's going to go for a slightly longer run here. Of course, what this does is it means you're going to have fresher tyres for the end of the race, and that could be crucial. Because a lot of these guys coming in around about lap 11, so they're going to have to run a couple of laps longer than they were. And if they were starting to struggle on those tyres, it's only going to get a little bit worse. You do get a little bit more rubber on the track, of course, but it does get a little bit worse towards the end. So having fresher tyres towards the end of the race can be a little bit advantageous sometimes.
Indeed. Dyson, would he have been able to fuel save? Maybe a little bit. Just got a notification there. Matty Raymond's just had a single car just getting into pit lane there. That's never good. But he's not lost position there to Ruben Phelps. They were battling away. And we now have a glut of vehicles heading in to pit lane. Hamish Gallagher, Norm Clark, Aidan Schultz, Josh Micklemore, we've got Gary Wellman, Ruben Phelps, Scotty Griffith, as well as Troy Davis. I think he might have already been in pit lane. So most of these drivers getting in now. We've got half a dozen or so who are remaining to pit.
Yeah, I think we've got to remove the Mr. Clean name from Matty Raymond, because ever since we've given him that moniker, he's had a little bit of a crinkle here and there. There's a battle off pit between himself and Ruben Phelps. Ruben Phelps getting ahead and keeping that position in front of Matty Raymond, but ever since we dubbed him that, he seems to be getting a couple of crinkles on the car. So curse of the commentator, as always, proving to work 100% of the time. But they come out just behind Gary Wellman and Tristan Koch at the moment, so it's going to be an interesting little battle as we see there Matty Raymond trying to make the move on Ruben Phelps. He's trying to get that on fresh tyres with those slightly fresh tyres. They will be not up to temperature yet, so you've got to be a bit careful. It's very easy to over-rotate the car and make a mistake right here.
Andrew Dyson jumps into pit lane. Jason Hardigan goes with him. So Brenton West, Jaden Russell, and Cade Donnelly, the leading pack that aren't on fresh rubber. Steve Williams as well. And for those of you wondering, Michael Skurlock last lap around 2 minute 51. He's just coming through to complete his first flying lap after his pit stop. So we'll just see where this gets him as he rounds the final corner.
I expect this will be a fairly fast lap from Scully. A 2:17. Yeah, that is a very fast lap from what we were having before. So you can see the difference of tyres. Andrew Dyson was setting around about the 2:18. So even on those old tyres, Dyson was setting some good times. But we have had a change of position, I think, as Brenton West has... Brenton West has stayed out, so he's managed to take the lead of the race at the moment. Brenton Hobson, sorry, two Brentons, so throwing me out there. He has managed to close the gap a little bit, so he is much closer to Dyson than he was, but he's now got to try and make this work. He's going to have some slightly warmer tyres now. He's got to really hunt down Dyson and not let him run away.
Yeah, so it's 1.7 seconds the difference between the two. But only a small, about 1.5 is what he closed up there. So how did he do that? Just a little shorter on the fuel and a little shorter therefore overall. Matty Raymond and Ruben Phelps have made contacts but not spun. So they'll continue on in their battle with one another.
Well, Brenton Hobson's time, as say, was a bit quicker. The fuel is not going to be a major issue here. It's mainly the tyres, and it can be the thing of a clean stop as well. Of course, you've got to pull up into that pit box perfectly. You can lose a lot of time in pit lane, especially in sim racing. It's a real art to get it right. Obviously, full metal racing as well. It's very hard to get into a pit box as well. But sim racing, you're sort of looking out for that lollipop, just knowing the position, and you've really got to make it stop perfectly, not lock up the brakes. You've got to keep the car at the right RPM as well, because there's no limiter in NASCAR, so you don't have the joy of a pit limiter. You've got to do it all by yourself, so it does make it a lot harder. It makes it an awful lot harder as Brenton West does come into pit lane, but it makes it a lot harder because you've got to keep an eye on that speed, and you've got some drivers that can absolutely just nail that perfectly and keep the car perfectly at the speed limit in the pit lane, and then other people that will maybe be a couple of kilometres slower just to be safe.
Brenton Hobson there, a 2:15.8, the fastest lap of the race to date, so watch out for Andrew Dyson to potentially trump that this time around. But that gap now out to 2.6 seconds between Dyson and Hobson at the front. Yeah,
driver it did not pay off for staying out a bit longer at the moment is Jason Hartigan. He lost a lot of time to Michael Skurlock, so Skurlock gaining a lot of time, as we said, could be the case on those fresher tyres, using that undercut to gain a little bit of time. So he's managed to pull about a 5-second gap over Hartigan, but Hartigan's going to have the slightly fresher tyres now, so he should be able to start chasing him down. But catching is one thing and passing is very much another.
Interesting too, the top four in qualifying now remain the top four in the race. So as they qualified, Andrew Dyson, Brenton Hobson, Michael Skurlock and Jason Hartigan in positions 1 through 4 as it stands.
Yeah, very much you sort of say the cream rising to the top there, but you can see like the big thing qualifying, those guys fast out there, they set some really good lap times, put some really good positions in, and the top 10 in general is sort of, there's a little bit of a mix up, it's a little bit hodgepodge there, but they have sort of mainly kept in sort of relative positions, and those guys are very fast out there, and it's a very different skill as well, getting these cars to work on an actual road circuit, because it is just such a different environment for these vehicles. Very tricky to get it absolutely perfect, and these cars, they do not like racing on a track. You know, you have to really muscle it around, and it is such a different beast to drive. If you're used to driving a sort of a GT race car, it's very different driving one of these NASCAR series vehicles around a racetrack, because they are just so raw and brutal. It's almost like driving a classic vehicle around.
Oh, a 2:14.55 from Dyson. Wow, what an answer. He's not only beaten, he's gone over a second quicker now for the fastest lap of the race. So 2:14.55 from Dyson. answering the question posed by Brenton Hobson and just saying anything you can do, I can do better. So he opens that gap again out to 3.5 seconds. And speaking of classic cars, we'll be back on his elbow, be back on the windowsill, and he'll just be enjoying a leisurely Wednesday, well, it'll be afternoon cruise given the time on circuit.
Very much so. As I said, watch out for Jason Hardigan. He just set a 2:16 to Michael Skurlock's 2:18. He gained about 2 seconds that last lap. He is absolutely chewing the gap to Michael Skurlock now, who will be absolutely ruining that earlier pit stop as he sees the Natari Autosport car closing up on that Crank Esport Supra there. It's going to be very, very close between these two, and got to say, with the pace that Jason Hardigan has at the moment, he might be able to make it, but passing Skurlock is not an easy thing to do. That's going to be the widest Toyota you've ever seen when they get up to battling positions.
Skurlock there just clipping the sausage again, so he we've lost a little bit of time there to Hardigan, so this is going to be on in I reckon around about a lap and a half or so. Jason Hardigan is going to be all over the back of that Crank Esports vehicle, so we'll keep an eye on this battle. I was checking back through the field. JCW and Cade Donnelly resume their fight. Dave Douglas has broken away from this one a little bit, and the other battle that is close is Aiden Schultz, Stephen Williams, my apologies, and Norman Clark. So these three battling away for 13th, 14th and 15th. Aiden Schultz just moved into the lead of this pack. And we do have Toyota Chevrolet battling away here. So Norm Clark just sticking the nose out. Looks like he's going to go the deep dive down inside Steve Williams. So it just manages to get it pulled up just in time. I thought he was going to go through and clean sweep them all there, but just managing to get the 09 pulled up in time, and Steve Williams retains that position. It's meant that Aiden Schultz has managed to crack a gap a little bit as well, and that will be beneficial to him.
Watch this, Norman Clark again. He's just probing it at the moment, just working out where Stevie Dub is just braking and just trying to work out where his best line of attack is. Very experienced head on Norman Clark's shoulders. A lot of experience in that car, so he's one of those drivers that he will be just probing attacks, just working out where's the best spot to start doing this. As I think Edward Foster might have just had a bit of a moment up in the first corner. It's just not too bad, actually. Just had a bit of a lock up and just ran a little bit wide, but yeah, so yeah, watch out for that. Meanwhile, up at the front, Skurlock has got a very fast charging Hartigan in his mirrors. Hartigan is right on the back of Skurley once again. This battle continues. We've talked about this a few times tonight, the Skurlock Hartigan battle, and it is very much on. So these two are going to be racing very hard. Of course, we've got to keep an eye on JCW and Cade Donnelly. Those two are battling it out still and doing some great work there as well, giving us some good entertainment out here tonight on this track.
Over half a second between the two. This next lap around from our last check-in here, but definitely Hardigan closing in another 2 seconds off on the last lap around, so the gap now down to half a second. Yeah, we'll get the benefit of some drafts.
Joshua Carroll Walton and Cade Donnelly. Cade Donnelly makes the move. He does a very late braking manoeuvre, and JCW just has to get off the pace because Cade Donnelly really managed to stop that car and cut it through, stopping JCW getting the undercut, and he makes that position. Cade Donnelly getting ahead of JCW for P10.
Absolutely, so that closing up there, and that battle continues. We'll keep an eye on that one. Aiden Schultz and Steve Williams will flick back there. We're trying to make sure we're here for Skurlock and Hardigan when they get together, but there's too much going on again.
Oh, and it is happening for Skurlock and Hardigan. Skurlock just runs a bit wide. Hardigan is going to get the drag race up the start-finish straight. It's going to be Hardigan having that inside line here for turn number 1, and this could be the move, but watch Skurlock. He's going to take a wider entry, try and get a better run off the corner and see if he can get the undercut on Hardigan, but those fresher tyres of Hardigan are going to help him out here. Gets the traction, gets the power down a little bit earlier, and finally makes the move on Michael Skurlock to get up to P3.
I think this is probably harder than last night, Carl, in terms of trying to keep up with the cameras. Every time I move away, something changes. I'm going to quickly jump back again to Aiden Schultz and Stephen Williams, because they are just as close to that battle at the front. A little bit of gap opening up there, but this is a yo-yo gap at the moment. Right back down again now to 3/10. There's Steve Williams in the Supra and Aiden Schultz in the Chevrolet are just trying one another out just to see who can get through. Norm Clark's just lurking in the background there as there's another drag race up the front straight. Aiden Schultz goes to the defensive line to head down towards the first corner, and Schultz will defend here again. Williams will be looking to get... Oh, Williams, a little bit of a lock up there. That's cost him his... Now Norm Clark gets right up involved in that battle again, and that's given Schultz another little bit of breathing room. That lock break there cost Stephen Williams, enabled Norman Clark to close up, but again, Williams just got a little bit more pace than Schultz. Actually, the tyres on Williams' car 1 lap fresher than that of Schultz, so surely not playing too much into it yet. Oh, as Williams goes around, he's gone around, and that has put him into the fence. No damage there done to the 98 entry, but that is just probably the battle there's just overheated those rear tyres and not helped out, and that means that Aiden Schultz is in the clear.
Yeah, that's what's happened. He's just overdone those rear tyres, cooked them a little bit, and that is that. There's a bit of a battle going on between Christopher Finley and Ruben Phelps as well, down in 18th and 19th. Christopher Finley just getting that position from Ruben and getting up there, so nice overtake from him, and he's now trying to chase down Maddie Raymond. But for Stevie Dub, that was a big moment, and it's just dropped him into the grasp of the big mover at the moment, Gary Wellman. He is trying to get 14 positions gained in this race instead of 13. He is doing a great job at the moment to get up those positions, and yeah, doing a good job after a little bit of a rough start, but very good moves from
as Williams runs wide again, so he's just struggling there. That'll open the door for Gary Wellman. For that battle, he's going to try and get back down the inside there, and those tyres on that Castrol Supra just saying help me, and we'll help you, but there's not a lot of room to have a break at the moment.
No, it's almost like you've got to leave the cars. Oh, Wellman runs wide now. You've almost got to just drive the car like a granny for a couple of laps just to let those tyres cool down to get it working, but it is a tricky situation to be in. It's never fun having hot tyres on a car, because the back end just does not want to stay attached to the racetrack. But great little drag battle here between Wellman and Williams, and Wellman's going to have the inside line here. Gets a good run off the corner and makes that pass. 14 positions gained for Gary Wellman now. He's up to P15.
Getting that one back there after ever so briefly having it just before. So manages to get that position back. Dave Douglas, he's now under threat from Cade Donnelly. This is for 9th and 10th position, and he's just defending there in the 199 as the 40 of Donnelly just tries to size him up. Cade looking like, as Dave goes around there, so he's just spun it at the hairpin. He's just doing a little bit of circle work to get that one back out. He's going to lose a position to JCW as well. He's going to have to be very careful now as he gets back underway. Those rear tyres will be nice and hot.
They will be like overly chewed chewing gum. They are not going to be fun to drive on for the next lap or two. They are going to be horrific. There is a battle on, as we see, between Gary Wellman there and Stephen Williams, those two have started battling it out once more. We've also got the battle between Aidan Schultz and Norman Clark as well. It's not as heated at the moment, but those two are starting to battle out. Norman Clark's just getting onto the back of Aidan Schultz now, just starting to do a couple of little probing attacks, just working out where Schultz is fast, where he's slow, and working out where he wants to try and make the overtaking move. Meanwhile, up front is a 6.5 second lead is Andrew Dyson in the DPR Simracing car, doing a fantastic job out in the lead of this race, reminiscent of last night in race 1, where he got a little bit lucky to get away from the pack, but managed to keep that lead working well for him, and just pull away. And great driving again from Andrew Dyson. He's quickest car on track at the moment as well, so he's got pace to burn if he needs it. He's really doing a fantastic job out there, just keeping that car on track. Brenton Hobson as well, doing a fantastic job too. Again, one of the newer drivers to the ANZCAR series, and doing a fantastic job once more. We saw it last time out, doing a good job at Dover, but tonight he is up there in P2 and really showing the pace underneath that car, with Jason Hardigan in third, who's checked out from Michael Skurlock in fourth.
Absolutely, he has. And I was just looking, Ed Foster's just done a couple of quick laps in a row. I've been keeping an eye on him. He's a fair way back still from Michael Skurlock, around 6.5, nearly 7 seconds. But he has been lapping at just over half a second quicker for the last couple of laps than Michael Skurlock. So he may have managed tyres a little bit better there. They both pitted on the same lap 10. So that might be a little bit of a factor, with Skurlock obviously having to battle there with Jason Hardigan. And Foster's been out on his own for a while. But just in the background there, you can see Brenton West is making up ground on Foster too, so he may have company before the end.
Just jumping to Schultz and Clark down there in 13th and 14th. Looked like it was just about to get a little bit more spicy than it was. Schultz just running a little bit wide. Sorry to cut you off there, but these two are starting to get heated up a little bit, and Clark is looking to try and make that move on Aidan Schultz at the moment. He's putting the pressure on. But yeah, what you're saying, Brenton West is doing a good job. He stopped a bit later. He's got much fresher tyres than those guys at the front, so he's able to set some good lap times at the moment, and he is catching Foster, but there is a bit of a gap between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on that last lap, Foster over a second quicker than Michael Skurlock, so that gap's come down, but Brenton basically a second faster than Foster. So it's going to close up here. We've got 4 laps to go, including the one that we're on. So the battle not over, I don't think, for third. Maybe third is over, but probably 4th, 5th and 6th certainly not resolved. We've still got this nice close battle here as well. This has resumed JCW and Dave Douglas.
Schultz and Clark are side by side. It's the drag race up the hill, and Clark has got the inside line at the moment. Clark is going to slide up in front of Aidan Schultz. Will Aidan Schultz be able to get the inside line here on Clark? No, he can't. He's going to have to go the long way around. Clark's going to have that tight inside line. Will Schultz be able to get it back down the hill? Gets on the power, but can't quite make it work. Norman Clark has made that position. As Gary Wellman's come into pit lane.
Has he? He has indeed. Well, that's for, it's got to be for tyres, you would think.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, in fact,
interesting.
He's got a drive-through.
Must be incidents there, so he must have just gone across. As we said, track limits is an important thing to manage here, and it looks like he's just been pinged for track limits.
Yeah, right. I've only got a registered 10 off for him. Jaden Russell's got 14. He's collected another one apparently, but this system that we use, not always known for being 100% accurate, but says he's got 10 incident points, potentially more. So Jaden Russell may be susceptible to that, as well as Stephen Williams, who's also got 12 according to the register. But we'll keep an eye on those just to see if they do run through pit lane while we continue to watch these battles that keep re-emerging. The JCW Dave Douglas one's calmed down a little. but I'd say that's only going to be temporary. They're within arm's length of one another. Matty Raymond, Christopher Finlay. This battle continues to rage, and Aidan Schultz has just checked out a little bit at the moment for about half a second on Norman Clark, so that will no doubt re-emerge as there's a move put on here. Christopher Finlay just not able to get down the inside of Matty Raymond, so he'll have to be patient and see where he can get this deal done.
Yeah, it's all about working out where's the best place to make the move, and also not overdoing it on your tyres, of course, not getting too much heat in those tyres, not overdoing it as well. So that's one of the important things to remember. We did see quite a few drivers getting caught out with the track limits, of course, in the truck series when we were here with season 1 of the trucks a few weeks back. So it's not uncommon and it's not unheard of for drivers to get up to that incident count, because it's just 12 incident points and then you need to go for a quick trip to pit lane.
We'll see if Jaden Russell jumps into pit lane this time around. He may be closer. Stephen Williams has said it's just 12 points, so not always accurate. Sometimes this thing picks it up when it's not actually a incident point, might just be an off track. So we'll just keep an eye on those as we get through these last remaining laps.
Yeah, it's gone relatively quickly tonight. We've only got 2 laps remaining here as Andrew Dyson crosses the line, and it's been a good race. And what happens with good races, they tend to feel like they've gone a lot quicker than they actually have.
Yeah, we've got 3 seconds between Skurlock and Foster, 2 seconds between Foster and West, so this continues to tighten. JCW and Dave Douglas are still fighting out, looking for a move here. JCW not defending, just getting out of the way in time. Dave Douglas under brakes takes the position. Expect there to be a return of fire.
Bit of hip and shoulder there between the two as well. Dave Douglas just muscling his way through on Joshua Carroll Walden there, just saying, no, I'm going to take this position, mate. It's mine now. And absolutely bullying his way into P10. Dave will be happy to have the 10 next to his name again. Dave Douglas, of course, running the 10 for a long time in the series and losing that number. So he'll be happy to have a 10 next to his name for a little bit, but JCW is not going to want to have him keep that. JCW is going to apply the pressure, and I can imagine that he's going to be he's going to show the same amount of gentle technique as Dave did to himself.
Elbows out is the right way to call it, I guess. Both of them will have their elbows out though, so we'll keep an eye here while we look at the rest of the groups, as Gary Wellman's had a solo spin a little bit further back down the field. Dave Douglas, yes, a big lock up there down the inside. That's going to hand JCW back that position, and it continues. Another change between these two. I think that's probably 11 or 12 for the evening so far, and JCW moves back into position 10.
They've been passing each other all night long. There's a battle between Christopher Finlay and Matty Raymond at the moment. Finlay making the better of Raymond there, getting past Matty Ray and just getting up there. Aidan Schultz has managed to get the position back from Norman Clark as well. The battle between those two has been epic all night long. Poor Josh Micklemore has been out on his lonesome in P12. Not really seen another car as Joshua Carroll Walden and Dave Douglas get back to battling, and Dave Douglas gets a great run on Joshua Carroll Walden, gets down underneath him through turn 10, makes the move stick. Will JCW be able to do a late break here? Doesn't look like it. Dave Douglas has got the position back for the about the 6,000th time passing each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So it continues, and I'm sure there'll be another opportunity at some stage. Jason Hardigan is currently third. Michael Skurlock in fourth. He's pretty comfortable there now, with the pace just dropping out of the 53 of Edward Foster's. Even Brenton West just maintaining the gap at the moment as we're getting through this final lap. These guys have got 1 lap to go still. Our race leader about a third of the way through the final lap, Andrew Dyson, and Brenton Hobson is 5 seconds adrift of him. So things looking fairly stable at the front of the field. Aidan Schultz and Norm Clark still shooting it out. That gap has closed a little, but I think we might just jump back here with... oh no, it looks like JCW has actually dropped to second here, so this battle's cooled off somewhat.
Yeah, we'll jump to the front, I think, with Andrew Dyson for this final few corners. There's not much further to go for him at the moment. It's been the most coverage for Andrew Dyson up the front. When you're leading like that, sometimes you just sort of get a little bit forgotten about. He got a lot of traffic that last lap round as well, so lost a little bit of time. So Brendan Hobson did manage to make up quite a bit of time and set a very good lap, a 2:18. So he really did put a great challenge up to Andrew Dyson, but just couldn't quite make it stick at the end. But Andrew Dyson just coming around the last set of corners here and is just going to be coming across the line, gets the tail out. He is really starting to push it now, and you don't want to celebrate too early, of course. We've seen a number of drivers make mistakes as he gets the tail out and is starting to slide it with a bit of glee and joy before he gets to the line. You do have to be a bit careful of doing that because he can make a mistake and lose a race. We've seen it before. But Andrew Dyson is getting very close to the finish line. Just one corner to go. He's going to kick the rear end out, get it up to the line, and he just has to get it across the line now. And he does indeed. Andrew Dyson taking out the victory here at COTA. Brenton Hobson in second position. Great drive from Brenton Hobson there. First top five. And, well, first top three, first top two for Brenton Hobson in the ANZCAR series. Jason Hartigan on his return is going to come home in third position. Good return from Jason Hartigan, return to form for himself.
Absolutely. Andrew Dyson there with a big burnout right at the end. Might not have everyone absolutely on his side for that at the end of the race, but a great celebration, another great drive from him. Dominant performance at Circuit of the Americas round 2 in the Xfinity cars for the ANZCAR Thunder Series. Edward Foster brings home 5th. We've got Brenton West in 6th. Good performance from him. Jaden Russell's going to bring it across the line in 7th position, followed by Hamish Gallagher in that Taylor Swift-Mitch Motorsport deal. Kate Donnelly's going to come home behind him as he's about to run it across the line. And then rounding out our top 10, it will end up being Dave Douglas, despite the 9 or 10 variance in that position over the evening. He's going to finish in position 10 after a really, really entertaining battle with Joshua Carroll-Walden for a majority of the race. And a fairly big step back to Josh Mickelmore.
As we got a good little battle just behind Aiden Schultz and Norman Clark. It's not over yet. Norman Clark is going to try and make the pass. He's going to go up the inside. He's going to make it on Aiden Schultz. Norman Clark is going to get the position on Aiden Schultz right at the end. They're stealing it away from Aiden Schultz for P13. Great finish there from Aiden Schultz and Norman Clark. Brilliant racing from those two. Stephen Williams is relatively safe at the moment. Maddie Raymond and Ruben Phelps finally are coming up the rear, and it's eventually going to be crossing the line. Maddie Raymond just getting across the line now, and Ruben Phelps coming around the final corner to finish up in 18th position and the final car on the lead lap.
Oof. What a race.
What a race. What a great little finish there. Great little spectacle there from Norman Clark and Aiden Schultz. Those two absolutely bringing home the fight. Great to see from that. As we say in the sort of NASCAR series, of course, that every position counts, and P13, P14, you may not think it's that big, but there are a lot of points on offer there, so that is an important place to get. But Andrew Dyson, just absolute masterclass out there tonight. Really good position, and just got to say, just sheer speed out there was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And just got the three, well, not three of them, actually. Ed Foster's just jumped in there as well, but Jason Hartigan and Brenton Hobson in the booth. So we might grab them in and get the interviews underway. Andrew Dyson equally just jumps in. So let's get this done.
So we will start off with our third place finisher for Natari Autosport, Mr. Jason Hartigan. Welcome back to the series, and it's nice to have you back, and it's nice to have you back in the booth, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It's been a while. Life got in the way, work commitments and all that. So, first race back, but yeah, it's good to be out there.
as is the case sometimes, unfortunately. But it's nice to have you back for the Thunder Series. It's good to have you back, of course, reigning Thunder champion. Good position to come back in as well. I mean, strong way to come back, getting up there in P3. You had some good fights out there. We saw you having a good battle with Michael Skurlock almost all race long.
Yeah. For the first few laps, I was still trying to figure out the car, how to make it like not wheel hop, pretty much. But yeah, the second set of tyres, once I got those on, chased them down. Got past him, made a little mistake into the last turn, and then just sent out the inside and got him to turn one. So that was pretty good.
No, good finish from yourself. It's good to have you back in. It's good to have you back up here in the booth as well. Congratulations on the P3 finish, Jason. Of course, as always, the usual love and shout out to sponsors.
Oh yeah, mate. A big shout out to my guys in the team. Sort of stuck through the past few weeks when I haven't been able to race. So they've been pretty good. So our sponsors, Race Magazine, Bridgestone Select, Ferguson Group Media, Two Flat Bikes, and AJ Insurance Services. And to all those boys, thank you.
All right, awesome. It's great to have you back, Jason. We'll be seeing you back in the Cup action relatively shortly.
Yeah, I'll be back in there tomorrow night.
Beautiful. Look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations on the P3 finish, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. It's good to have you back in the series.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Next up, Wheels Rab, second place man, Brenton Hobson. Congratulations on that P2 finish. It has been an extremely strong start in the ANZCAR Thunder Series for yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a bit of fun. I haven't done much oval racing before, so Josh Micklemore's been hassling me. He said, come over and have a run with us. A lot of people actually have said, come over. And I decided to dip my toes in and have a go.
No, well, we're glad you're doing it. You put on a brilliant show tonight, obviously, and set some great pace out there. We saw you having a good battle and trying to chase down Andrew Dyson. When you look at the papers and you see yourself qualifying second and finishing second, and Andrew up there first, finishing first, it doesn't tell the whole story. We saw you sort of come in and try that little bit of the undercut. Were you sort of planning and hoping that it would work out for you with that one?
I sort of looked at the race and thought I'd probably try and pit just before halfway and see if there was any chance of an undercut. But I mean, I was pretty far back. It was easy for him just to cover that. And then I was always going to be compromised for the rest of the race with a lap older tyre. Like one lap doesn't seem like a lot, but in these things on a road course, it actually is. So it was a long shot. I mean, I was hoping maybe I could get close enough to him to maybe cause some kind of chaos in his life. But I also don't know that Andrew was probably going that hard. I think he pretty well and truly had me covered. I think second actually does tell the story pretty well for the night. But it's a good start for me. I think it's my first ever road race in the current Xfinity car. And last week was my first ever run in an oval in the current Xfinity car. So I think we're off to a good start and a little bit more laps and a bit more practice, because I think I only got 3 laps or something in practice tonight. So with a little bit more time and a little bit more experience in the cars, hopefully we can maybe bridge that gap and get up there and race him.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about that, of course. Unfortunately, last week, rules came into weigh a little bit, but we're so glad to have you back, because we saw some great turn of pace from you and a few of the other drivers out there, a few of the newcomers, new drivers to the ANZCAR series, and hearing that you don't have too much experience on ovals is definitely a scary thing, considering the pace we saw from you last time out. How are you finding driving these cars? As you say, not much experience. What do you normally drive for your sort of general purpose things?
I drive a lot of everything. My background probably predominantly comes from supercars, much like Andrew. So hence the strength, I guess, on the road course. But I'm a pretty diverse driver. I'll drive anything. But my only real oval experience, apart from years ago when I was a rookie and did a bit of street stock and late model stuff on the ovals in official racing, since then the only experience I've really had is probably I've done a little bit in NIS. I did a little bit in the NIS Cup cars last year. I tried to do a season in them and I gave up before the end, but that's the limit of my experience. Ironically, Dover was probably my least favourite track in the Cup cars. When I tried to race them, I really struggled there, so I was surprised to be quick last week. But obviously the Xfinity cars are a little bit less power, so probably a little bit more forgiving for people without the experience. So hopefully that lends itself to me going forward. But, I mean, I have low expectations and high hopes. Let's just leave it at that, I guess, and see how things play out.
No, absolutely. That's what we have the Xfinity series for. It's it's a bit of a learning ground, getting people into the series and getting them up to speed, and hopefully getting you on the track to getting up to the bigger series and the trucks and the cups and things like that. So, congratulations on your first P2 finish and a very strong showing from yourself. So, the big thing is tonight, of course, the shout out to the sponsors.
Shout out to my teammate, Jaden Russell, who jumped in and had a run. He sort of was part of the reason why I came across here. So he's only new in it as well. So we're having a bit of fun with that. And I guess, it's just the team in general, but my sponsors, JK Signs is the main one on the car, but we've got a whole swag of them there. So a shout out to all those guys that all help.
I have to ask because I don't actually know. Who is your team?
Simracing.
Lovely, thank you very much. Congratulations on that. It's a tricky thing keeping account on everything new like that sometimes, but congratulations and welcome to the series. We look forward to seeing some more racing from you in the future with the Xfinity.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully I'll speak to you guys a whole lot more.
Thank you, Brenton. And next up, we will grab the man of the hour, the winner of the COTA round of the Xfinity Funder Series. Regular winner this year in ANZCAR for COTA, I think. There's been a few of them, Andrew. Congratulations on that victory, mate.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's probably a little bit unfair. I on Hobbo there. I've had a race here before, but I'm sure he'll get used to it and he'll get right up there. But yeah, I really enjoy COTA, so that helps. And these guys are a heap of fun as well. So it's little wonder, us filthy road racers come out and have a heap of fun in these things because they're just a ball to drive.
Oh, absolutely. We saw you absolutely enjoying yourself towards the end of the race there, and we were just saying, you've got to be a little bit careful sometimes because it's very easy to lose the rear as you were busy drifting it around, celebrating nice and early there. But you looked to have some really good pace out there, and it didn't look easy by no means, but you did absolutely look like you had some pace spare in there.
Yeah, I did, yeah. So kind of at the start of the race there, we got a little bit of a gap to Hobbo. He made a bit of a mistake coming down into, I think it's turn 12. So that gave us a bit of an air gap. And from there, you can save tyres. And as Hobbo was saying, the tyres are really fragile or sensitive in these things. So I had a bit of a chance there to look after him a little bit. And he probably pushed him a little bit. So that helped me have a little bit in reserve, I guess. That's kind of where that came from. But if it was a little closer, it would have been heaps different. These cars drive really well for a start. And when you got someone behind you, these are a little mistake. People can get down underneath you really easily. But I actually just got on the drifting there at the end of the race. I was feeling I crashed it, but these things have so much lock. They're like drift cars. It's so much fun, dude.
Yeah, they really are. There's something different. I mean, just that little bit less weight in them, a little bit less power, but they are so much fun to drive, the Xfinity cars. Obviously, it's been successful for you in ANZCAR this year. We saw you in the trucks, of course, come out and do a good job. Are we going to see you tomorrow night in the Cup? That's my big question.
Yeah, looking forward to the Cup cars. That'll be a different kettle of fish. Those things are wild animals to drive compared to the Xfinity cars. Like the Xfinity cars seem to be a little easier to hustle, although the tyres are the same. It's kind of really fragile. You can really hustle the Xfinity cars. That makes them a bit of fun, whereas the Cup cars can be a bit of a chore. So they're really difficult, like real sensitive on the throttle, bulk power. You can really fry them up really easily. So it'll be different, that's for sure. But yeah, that should be a lot of fun.
So we look forward to seeing you. Congratulations on getting first victory in the Funder Series, of course. Big congratulations on that one. We're going to be seeing you in some more Funder Series races this year, or are you just going to be coming out just for a couple of the road circuits?
I'd like to do a few more races. Wednesday night's kind of a supercar night for me. I've got another series and I like to use as a bit of a practice night, but If I can come to a few, I'll definitely jump in for sure.
We look forward to seeing you in future. And as always, love and shout out to sponsors.
For sure, yeah, we've got Simracing.com. They've hooked me up with all my gear, so check out their website and you'll see basically exactly what I'm running. You take your pick. We've got BMX Mechanical, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Best Smart Racing Service, and MP Designs for the paint jobs. Thanks so much, AJ Insurance Services, for sponsoring the broadcast. And thanks so much to ANZCAR and all the guys for racing tonight and making it a good one.
Thank you so much, Andrew Dyson, winner of the second round of the Thunder Series. Great job out there tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in a relatively short time.
Hopefully soon. Sure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Stuart, that was one heck of a race there. We saw so many different things out there, but most importantly, we saw some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. A very enjoyable race. Looking forward to actually watching back because I want to do a count on the number of times that JCW and Dave Douglas passed one another throughout the race as one of those things. And we might even make a little bit of footage out of that actually because it's a little bit comical, but really, really good close racing throughout the pack. You know, I can't. There was that one unfortunate incident that involved Jake Maloney, which was a racing incident, absolutely. But outside of that, door-to-door Rubbins racing style performance from everyone. A really clear-cut standout performance from Andrew Dyson and Brenton Hobson, along with Jason Hardigan in the air taking out our top three positions. And looking forward to tomorrow night to see what that brings. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, as you say, tomorrow night we are heading back to COTA, Circuit of the Americas, in the Cup cars, and that's going to be an absolutely spectacular race. Make sure to join us for that one. A big thank you, of course, to AJ Insurance Services for keeping us up here in the stream booth. With lots of honey and lemon, able to keep talking, the most important thing of them all. But of course, the other big thank you is to all of you for watching. Without you guys, we would not be able to keep it going. So a big thank you to all of you that have watched and will watch in the future. And if you could just hit that like button and the subscribe button, it does help us out an enormous amount. It helps growth and helps with the old analytics to make sure more people can see it in the future. So I guess we'll be wrapping this one up, Stuart, getting ready for tomorrow night in the Cup action. So from myself, Carl Withing, of course from Stuart up there doing the cameras and of course on the commentary as well, we will wish you all a good night and see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.